Talk again.
Am I good?
You're a little soft.
I am?
Oh! That just sounds
Well,
like...
it's just because you're not as attractive as you used to be. Hey everyone, welcome to the Idiomatic Top 3.
With Dennis P., a horror film enthusiast.
I'm Nicholas. I am the gaming correspondent for Idiomatic.
And I am Dimitri, editor-in-chief of Idiomatic and movie critic. And today, we three are going to talk about horror remakes. We have already talked movies, we already talked video games, we already talked songs. Now we're talking horror movies, which is why you, Dennis P., are here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Alright, so we're going to do the top 3 horror movies we'd like to see remade. Ladies and gentlemen, well, actually, let's start with Nick this time. Your number 3 pick for a movie that you'd like to see remade.
Well, because I hate vegetarians, we should remake Troll 2. Because any movies when the vegetarians are evil and, you beat the bad guy by eating meat is perfect. So remake Troll 2.
Yeah, it's a hilarious scene for people who don't like vegetarianism. Because he literally beats the bad guys by biting into a bologna sandwich. And not just any bologna sandwich, like the most disgusting piece of 5-rack bologna thing you've ever seen. You're like, that looks disgusting. And he's jumping into it and everybody runs away.
Yeah.
It's freaking hilarious.
That's perfect. Death to vegetarians.
But I don't know, can they ever beat the scene of, oh my god?
You
That's
have
just a
to.
classic.
You have to have that scene in the movie.
Yeah, I would
With
just bring that back.
with the actors going like great performance, except for that scene in particular where the guy's just wooden, and then all of a sudden you go back to perfect scene.
Don't forget that he also had a fly in his face when he was...
It's sort of like the movie has normal actors and everything, and then you turn around, it's that scene, and suddenly that character is played by Robert Pattinson.
Number 2?
Alien.
Oh.
The original was a horror. You see all the other ones afterward, they're all action movies, but the original one was horror suspense.
Yes.
And you can really do something about it, because now the whole alien thing has gone way with Alien
You are
versus
making-
Predator and crazy stuff like that. The horror and suspense things works because you didn't know what was happening to them. So you can remake something like Alien. You're going to have to change the aliens around and, change how they work and stuff like that. But you can just, reboot the series and start over.
It's an interesting pick. My concern with it is how do you redesign H.R. Geiger's Alien? Because so much of what made Alien amazing is the designs of H.R. Geiger. That creature is messed up.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Because nothing that openly phallic had been created before, It's like, what is this? It's a representation of rape. Create a creature, H.R. Geiger. Okay, it's a giant penis. With teeth.
With a
Good
second
point.
mouth coming out.
Well, you need to find a way to make it work, because again, it's not going to be suspenseful or scary if people know what to expect. Oh well, now at this point, something's going to pop out of his stomach. It's obvious. You need to change that around a little bit.
Yeah.
And find a clever way to do it.
Yeah, and would you keep that scene where she goes back for the cat?
Oh god.
No,
Screw the cat.
I'm allergic to cats, so no. It has to be a puppy this time. Go back for the puppy.
But what if, or what about like a vegetarian guy, like just like a crew member?
He dies first.
Would that be okay?
We could have the alien look like a giant broccoli.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that'd be scary.
Killer broccolis from Mars or something, from Planet 9 or something.
Alright, your number 1 pick for horror movie remake.
Well, this might be cheating, because people might consider it horror, but you have to remake Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice.
Some people might consider it more a comedy, but it had some horror things to it.
Yeah.
And, with a funny character like Beetlejuice, you choose a proper actor, and you can make a good movie out of that.
Which actor would you choose?
Johnny Depp, yes.
Johnny Depp.
Well, he's been in every other Tim Burton movie, so why not the remake of this one?
Seriously.
Sure. Why wasn't he the original? What's wrong? Well, he would make a great Beetlejuice. He could make it entertaining, and I would go watch that.
Not Jack Black, then?
Oh my god.
And would you make your Beetlejuice more scary, or just keep it wacky and...
I would keep him wacky, but I would have the things he do scary. But he still has to be wacky and fun. but then, you know, all of a sudden he does like crazy violent things, and that's what makes it scary. It's like you don't expect that from him.
That would be some mighty big shoes to fill, and I think that's why Johnny Depp is a good choice, because Michael Keaton, nobody expected him to be that good in Beetlejuice. So it's like, Michael Keaton, really? He's sort of he's okay, and then he's in Beetlejuice, and you're like, wow, that guy's wacky, crazy. It's really fun.
He's also Batman. So
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. After
With Tim Burton,
Beetlejuice, after Beetlejuice, like, oh, he can do wacky. Oh, he's a really gifted comedic actor. He's going to be Batman. What?
Yeah. Where did that come from? Yeah.
And immediate veto on Jim Carrey as Beetlejuice. Immediate.
Mr. Popper's Penguin didn't convince you of his acting skills.
No, it didn't.
Good God, yeah. Yeah, I think that was Tim Burton's phase where he liked Michael Keaton until he discovered Johnny.
Yeah.
And then he never looked back.
He never looked back, yeah.
Helen Bonham Carter gets jealous every once in a while. Like, again with the Johnny talk?
Come on, man, what about me? I'm your muse or whatever.
Alright, moving on. Your number 3 pick for movie.
My number 3 would be Child's Play.
That's an interesting pick, really?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Because, you know, I mean, they found a way to make it campy and, you know, with the son and, you know, the girl and all that. Like, it's cool, but maybe I'd like to see the original Child's Play remade, like, serious, trying to be scary like the original tried to be. You know?
How scary can... Because, I mean, the first one actually did make it scary, and how they managed to do it is by having the kid being very, very young.
Yes.
So the minute he's left alone, you're scared for him. You don't even need Chucky.
Yeah.
Whereas, that mother should not be leaving that child alone. And they go out of their way to show that she is actually sort of a bad mother. And that's how they did it. But because Chucky's the size of my little buddy, so that's about...
just step on him, and he's you know, that's
so
it.
2 feet tall, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, maybe, I don't know, with the remakes, who knows? Maybe they'll remake a new doll or who knows what, I don't know. Bigger, I have no idea. I don't know what they would do, but I would just be curious to see it. I mean, whether it's going to be good or bad. Yeah. I just want to see what they could do with it.
Because the original also has them like throwing the doll around all the time.
Yeah.
And it always accentuates just how it's a freaking doll. For heaven's sake, like grab its 2 feet and just hit its head on the table over and over again. Pow, pow, pow. It's like, and he goes like, "Oh, you bitch, I'll get you, I'll get you." It's like, just don't stop.
I'd like to see that scene, so maybe they should remake it.
I just for fun, you know? Just for fun. Just to see, you know, but serious. Because obviously they continue the series and
the fourth
success.
and fifth one were very campy.
Yeah.
Very funny, though.
Very fun. I mean, you know, for sure there's an audience for them, but I just want to see them try, quote unquote, to be serious again and scary, you know, if that's even possible. But, you know.
Well, the concept was more interesting than anything.
Yeah.
The idea of a man trapped in a doll's house through voodoo
mass
magic.
murder,
And the doll slowly becoming more human. That concept alone was scarier than the doll killing people.
Of course. Yeah.
Like, you're almost more scared for him.
Yeah.
It's like the whole idea of being trapped in a half doll, half human body is just so disgusting.
It was also creepy when, you know, he would turn his head and all around and talk to the kid, and it was just very freaky, you know. And
Now, when the door is closed and the kid is in the room with his doll, and the mother passes, and the kid is just seemingly talking to himself, to the doll, but replying to things that would not come out of a kid's mind.
It's amazing.
That was really creepy.
Yeah, that was creepy. So yeah, maybe you know, a modern take on it would be you know, just for fun.
Yeah, sure. No, that's an interesting take. I wouldn't have thought of it, but yeah. All right, then, is your number 2 pick for horror movie you'd like to see remade?
Number 2 would be Sleepaway Camp. The ending of the first one was just really cool. And I'd love to see the whole movie remade, you know, make it a little bit more modern and, you know.
Yeah, and the narrative could be streamlined, because as much as the ending is spectacular, it is one of the most horrifying shot in horror movie history, in my opinion.
Pretty much, I'd have to agree, yeah.
And it's just so well staged. The concept itself is not scary, it's mildly homophobic, so I'd be concerned with the remake, how they're going to do it.
Yeah.
But, the way they set it up, you're like, that is just so gross and disgusting and perturbing, and the sound that character makes, that sound is like, I can't believe that came out of somebody's mind. And like, the director went like, I have an image in my mind, and this is what it is. It's like, ew!
Yeah, that I think, if anybody, like, knows like seen Sleepaway Camp, that's the scene that they remember. I mean, that's one of the few that they haven't they haven't touched yet. So
Maybe because of the homophobia thing.
maybe, or maybe they just haven't gotten around to it yet.
No, I think Nick is right, because it's the sort of mild homophobia you could get away with in the early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Today would be just completely inappropriate. I can't think of a way to do this sensitively.
So what's your number one pick?
My number one pick. Again, very curious because this one's for me it's a big classic. It would be Profondo Rosso, Deep Red, a giallo movie from the 70s.
Yeah, no, it's the giallo movie.
Yeah.
It's the one that pretty much established the alphabet for the genre, really.
Yeah.
And which, in turn, because the giallo movies pretty much established the alphabet for the slasher genre as a whole,
Yeah.
it's a really important movie. Aren't you afraid when picking a movie like that, in the sense that it's such a classic that sort of established the genre, you remake it and you're like, but the genre's already established. What did you do with that?
I don't know. Like I said, it's just out of curiosity, really. I mean, for me, like I said, usually I don't believe the remakes are better than the originals in general. But you know what? Sometimes you could be surprised, right? So why not? I mean, like I said, they've pretty much remade everything else. They remade Halloween, which for me is, it's a movie that I would never remake per se, like the original.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know what? Why not? Why not give it a little modern twist to it? See what they could do with it. Make it, I don't know, more modern or scarier. Or I don't know what.
Would you keep it Italian?
That's a very interesting question. You know what? Maybe to do two versions of it.
Oh, back to the way they did it back then.
Yeah, maybe. Why not?
Italian movies back then, they wanted the best actors. Dario Argento wanted the best actors available in Europe, but they don't all talk the same language. So he would just film them, each scene with them speaking their own language, and every version would be partially dubbed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He would do that, and so there is no existing version of any of his movies where you are not stuck with some dubbing, because there's at least always one actor who's speaking Danish or whatever.
Yeah, so that one, and I would love to, obviously, for them to keep the killer's POV, like the specific way that the killings were done.
Mm-hmm.
It was very original, and obviously the music would have to pretty much stay classic. Which one would you?
Yeah, my number 3 pick for a horror movie I'd like to see remade, probably a controversial one in this room, but Saw.
Really? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Saw. I think James Wan sort of screwed the pooch with Saw, with all the moral imperative crap about, like, you have to value your life and everything. It's like, yeah, whatever. No, it's sort of like, I'm teaching you people to value their life through torture by inventing elaborate schemes to torture them. And it's like, first of all, it's called, stop and smell the flowers, not stop and jam the flower into your eye socket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And second, it's sort of like, aren't you wasting an enormous amount of your life planning this stuff? Like, shouldn't you be doing something
Aren't you
else
like
with your
dying
life?
slowly there? Yeah.
And I think he screwed a pooch with that and the extra violence, but the core concept at the beginning was pretty clever. It's two guys in a room, chained to the thing, they have a saw, and somebody's going to have to saw their leg off for the both of them to survive, but neither of them want to be the one who saws their legs off for obvious reason. But if somebody doesn't do it, eventually they're both going to die. Mm-hmm. And there's a real dilemma here, and there's a real sort of art house movie to be made there in the conversation between these two people. Mm-hmm. And that I'd like to see. Even as a play, I would like to see it. It's an interesting premise.
And I think they've made enough saws that at this point, yeah, maybe a remake would be would be the smart choice.
Just kill that thing already.
Yeah.
I don't like the Paranormal Activity series. I don't think it's nearly as efficient as people say it is. Mm-hmm. But I am grateful for it, if only because it killed Saw by making more money than it.
Ah, yes.
Nice. You're a bitter man.
For 7 years, it was a Saw movie every year.
Yeah, seriously.
And it was the October Halloween movie.
Yes.
And it's sort of like, and I love Halloween, and I love that time of the month. Well, those who visit the site frequently know every October is Halloween month over at the Dreamer's Edge, where everything is just horror stuff for a month. So I'm always craving the horror movies. And they're on TV, but I have the theater experience, and every year it was just like, great, Saw, that's my option, because no one wanted to compete with Saw. Then Paranormal Activity came, I was like, oh, relief.
Finally,
it's different.
Yeah.
And I saw it, I was like, it's still crap. But it's different.
It's different.
Alright, my number 2 pick for a horror movie remake is Urban Legends.
Oh, yes. Very nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Urban Legends has a nice concept. Urban Legends are naturally scary and fun, and just a sort of creep factor you'd like in a fun horror movie. But the unfortunate thing is that it came out right at the era where the Scream model dominated the horror genre, so it was sort of dominated with a whodunit structure, which doesn't apply to Urban Legends. Because, if you're going to live out Urban Legends, it can't be planned. Because, how does a killer plan to have his victim eat Pop Rocks and coke at the same time and lace the Pop Rocks with explosive to make sure she blows up from the inside? That's one complicated killer right there.
Yeah.
And also, all the kids were doing the witty banter stuff that got tiring very fast around back in the late 90s. So I'd love to see just the concept of, a horror movie about urban legends and living out urban legends, but free of the imposition of the Scream formula, which worked for Scream, but to be quite honest, not for any other movie.
I agree, yeah.
I also didn't like the ending of that movie, where she tries to do the urban legend that you wake up, in a bath without your kidneys, and she's just stabbing her at the end. It's like, you're not doing the urban legend at all. You're just stabbing her. You're completely against the point of the movie at this point.
And it goes with the problem of trying to do a whodunit with that premise, because it's the sort of thing. It's like, how does a killer reproduce all these urban legends? It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I would rather just see a character go through all these urban legends through, uncanny coincidence.
Yes.
Wakes up in the bathtub with the ice and the message, tries to run, turns out she still has her kidney. She woke up just early enough, and then goes into a car and runs around and somebody's flashing the lights behind her. It's just one after the other.
And you're freaking out. You're like, oh my god, which one is going to get her? Which urban legend is going to kill her?
And then you have a cameo by the Mythbusters at one point. This isn't true.
True.
And you're number 1, right?
Oh, yeah, it's true. I got Halloween season 3, season... No, I'm kidding. I really want to see the power of the Shamrock.
I'm sure the remake, though, would be better than the original.
Yeah, because, they're at Halloween 2 in the remakes. Halloween 3 is time to pull out Season of the Witch.
Why not? Come on, yeah.
No. I'm actually going to go slightly different here. I'm going to go with a TV series instead of a movie.
Cheater. Oh, yeah, that's cheating, man.
It's a little bit cheating. Well, do you want me to go back to Halloween 3 Season of the Witch? Because I can talk about that.
No, go to your TV show. Go to your TV show.
Friday the 13th, the series, was a really interesting series that didn't get too much of an audience because it was ultra violent. It's terribly violent.
Really?
Yeah, it was a really violent thing. And also it carried the name Friday the 13th, but was not about that at all.
Yeah.
Because it's a story of a bunch of shop owners they inherit a shop that trades in antiques and discover that the items sold are all cursed. Mm-hmm. They're items that the owner, if he kills 9 people, he gets a reward or something. There's a woman who didn't want to grow old, and so she had a mirror with the lipstick thing, and if she killed people and looked at herself in the mirror, she would stay young and stuff like that.
It's pretty cool,
yeah. It's a really nice concept because every episode was a different object, and it was always sad because the perpetrators who kill people are obviously evil, but a lot of times they were also victims. They were given a weapon to corrupt them, and they got corrupted,
Yeah.
And so they had to hunt down all the items on the registry that had been sold and bring it back to the vault, and that's what the series is about.
I didn't know that, yeah.
And it's such a great concept for a series, and it was actually a very good series, but, very low budget, and because of the violence.
And the title. The title killed it, I think.
Yeah, stuck playing at midnights. But now with HBO and cable, you can do violence. Now that we have The Walking Dead as a TV series, you can get away with a lot, and I think it's a good time to revive that concept and maybe change the title.
That's what I was going to tell you. Yeah, maybe that would be good, but just change the title because I think for me too, I remember when it came out on TV originally, I was like, oh my god, Jason on a weekly basis? I'm in for a treat, right? And then I'm like, what the beep is this? So definitely a title change would be,
Yeah, I think so. And probably not Little Shop of Horrors, because that would just lead to other confusion.
Yes, of course.
Although that would be appropriate.
Yeah.
So where are we moving on to now that we've touched on...
I think we're actually moving on to the Electric Bigaloo Factory. Ladies and gentlemen, that's when Kazim and I or whoever's with us, take a movie that generally doesn't deserve a sequel and try to imagine how that would work out if we did make a sequel.
The EB.
Electric Boogaloo.
Now, trying to pick a movie for the Electric Boogaloo Factory for this period of horror is nearly impossible, because every movie has had a stupid sequel already. But that's exactly the reason why I picked Halloween 3 Season of the Witch to make a sequel of that. Now, I know Halloween 4 came out, it was the return of Michael Myers, but for those of you who did follow the series back then, Season of the Witch was a standalone story that had nothing to do with the usual Halloween monster, Michael Myers. It was a standalone story about...
Oh boy.
Evil shamrock-powered robots, demon bots, I should say, working towards a conspiracy to make kids put on masks that will deform them and kill them in the long term. After they activate the green ray that will activate all the masks.
In other words, avoid Halloween 3 Season of the Witch at all costs.
However, what's your sequel?
Yes.
So here it is. Like, what would you do if you had to do Halloween 3 Season of the Witch Part 2?
Oh god.
That's a complicated title I can come up with.
Part 2.
Just to add to that title, it's now Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, Part 2, Witch's Brew. So basically I have a young, enterprising group, cabal of witches, who've decided to open their own catering company. However, at each banquet or benefit that they've catered, all the patrons mysteriously die. And they're puzzled by this. They want to succeed at this. And they discover that they're being sabotaged by another cabal, which also has broken into the catering trade and has decided that this was going to be an all-out war, a cook-off to the death, which ultimately means the death of many other people. But I'm not quite sure how it ends. But that's how I like. Yeah.
Where's the shamrock?
We need a
I
shamrock.
don't know where that comes in yet.
And
Perhaps they could be the
secret
the
ingredient.
ingredient. Shamrock is like, that's why everyone keeps dying.
Good god.
So it would be another standalone story.
It would be.
Yeah, alright. That would actually be in John Carpenter's original spirit, because that's why he produced Season of the Witch. For those of you who were wondering why he abandoned Michael Myers, is because, like most creative people, he got tired of repeating the same crap over and over again. Yeah. So he wanted Halloween to be an anthology of different stories, movie after movie. So definitely in the spirit of John Carpenter right there.
Yeah. Carpenter would be very proud of that story.
He would be very angry at me, however, because I'm bringing it back to Michael.
Alright! Let's see.
Very nice.
Because that's one of the main criticism that fans had. It was like, oh, where's Michael? Where's Michael? Where's Michael? Well, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch Part 2 would explain where Michael was. Halloween 3 Season of the Witch Part 2, Michael versus the Shamrock.
Oh!
Very cool.
Yeah. So here's how we connected back. Now, as I mentioned, there were demon bots working towards this conspiracy from this toy maker. We would discover that Michael is one of those super demon bots who hides his face because he actually put one of those shamrock masks in, so he's deformed behind it. But because he's a super demon bot, he's not dead.
Okay.
And we find out that he wasn't after Lori, his sister, because she's his sister. Partly because that makes no sense. But he was after her necklace, which contained a bit of shamrock.
Ooh.
And so he gets it, and so Dr. Loomis has to race against Michael before he puts the shamrock into the ultimate doomsday device and brings Halloween hell to the world.
Very cool.
Good,
Very cool.
Yeah.
Fans would be pleased,
I
right?
think
Oh,
so.
definitely.
Yes. Yes.
Still there in Curse of Michael Myers.
And on that note, if you got questions, comments, please mail us at mail@idiomanic.com or post a comment right below the episode at idiomanic.com. We also have a Facebook and Twitter page now, so please check us out and subscribe. And until next time.
Until next time. But I don't know, can they ever beat the scene of, oh my god? That's
have
just a
to
classic.
you have to have that scene in the movie.
Yeah, I would
with
just bring that back.
with the actors doing like great performance, except for that scene in particular where the guy's just wooden, and then all of a sudden you go back to perfect scenes.
Don't forget that he also had a fly in his face when he was.
It's sort of like the movie has normal actors and everything, and then you turn around, it's that scene, and suddenly that character is played by Robert Pattinson.
Number 2?
Alien.
Oh.
The original was a horror. You see all the other ones afterward, they're all action movies, but the original one was horror suspense.
Yes.
And you can really do something about it, because now the whole alien thing has gone way with Alien
You are
versus
making-
Predator and crazy stuff like that. The horror and suspense things worked because you didn't know what was happening to them. So you can remake something like Alien. You're going to have to change the alien around and, change how they work and stuff like that. But you can just, reboot the series, and is when the vegetarians are evil and, you beat the bad guy by eating meat is perfect. So remake Troll 2.
Yeah, it's a hilarious scene for people who don't like vegetarianism. Because he literally beats the bad guys by biting into a bologna sandwich. And not just any bologna sandwich, like the most disgusting piece of 5-rack bologna thing you've ever seen. You're like, that looks disgusting. He's jumping into it and everybody runs away.
Yeah,
It's freaking hilarious.
that's perfect. Death to vegetarians. Talk again?
Am I good?
You're a little soft.
I am?
Oh! That just sounds
Well,
like...
it's just because you're not as attractive as you used to be. Hey everyone, welcome to the Idiomatic Top 3.
With Dennis P., a horror film enthusiast.
I'm Nicholas. I'm the gaming correspondent for Idiomatic.
And I am Dimitri, editor-in-chief of Idiomatic and movie critic. And today, we three are going to talk about horror remakes. We have already talked movies, we already talked video games, we already talked songs. Now we're talking horror movies, which is why you, Dennis P., are here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Alright, so we're going to do the top 3 horror movies we'd like to see remade. Ladies and gentlemen, well, actually, let's start with Nick this time. Your number 3 pick for a movie that you'd like to see remade.
Well, because I hate vegetarians, we should remake Troll 2. Because any movie